Good evening and welcome to the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences. Hello, good evening and welcome to the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences. Can you please be on your feet as the speakers and the chair take their seats? And as they come, please put your phones on silent. Thank you.
Please sit. Thank you.
Right. So my name is Obieje, Professor Obieje, Honorary Secretary of the Academy, and I'm here to introduce all of us to this evening's program. But I'll begin by addressing the chair, President of the Academy, past presidents of the Academy, vice presidents of the Academy, fellows of the Academy, distinguished invited guests, Your Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, officially good evening. On behalf of fellows of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences, Ghana's premier learned society, it is my honor and privilege to welcome you to the Academy's Public Forum 2025, which incidentally is on one of the most topical issues and is on the theme, as we all know, Galamsey Revisited. This is a forum that has been designed for us to listen to some of the foremost experts in the field in a critical conversation that is dear to all of our hearts, important for our nation as we seek to address one of the most pressing environmental and socioeconomic challenges of our time. Over the next 3 days, starting from today, these experts will lead us into discussions on the multifaceted issues that surround this phenomenon, Galamsey, exploring far-seeking implications, and most importantly, to co-identify with us some of the solutions that might be relevant in tackling this menace, which has been aptly referenced as an existential threat to our nation. In this respect, I'm pleased to note that we have, as mentioned earlier, an exceptional lineup of speakers, including our chairperson, an expert from various fields who over the next 3 days will be leading these discussions and bringing their perspective diverse onto the discussion. We kindly note that this event is being streamed live on the Academy's Zoom YouTube and also Facebook platforms. We acknowledge with gratitude sponsors of this event, the Bank of Ghana, Access Bank Ghana, whose generous sponsorship and support have been instrumental in making this event a reality. We also are pleased to inform that there are a number of dignitaries and invited guests whom we will introduce as the program goes on. And we are always pleased to have among us our next generation participating schools. Today we have Accra Academy and Labone Senior High School. We are most grateful that you made the time to be here. So over the next 3 days, beginning today, we encourage active participation. And to cut this short, we'll say once again, we welcome you all to the Public Forum 2025. At this juncture, I'll proceed to introduce the chairperson for this evening's event. It is my singular honor to introduce to us the chair for the event. And I present an abridged profile of our chairperson. The chairperson is the president of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences. She is a professor of immunology and parasitology at the University of Ghana, a groundbreaking research on malaria immunity and vaccine development at the National Institute of Health and New York University, USA in the 1980s led to the very first approved human malaria vaccine, the RTSS vaccine. Our chairperson is also the first Emerita professor in the sciences at the University of Ghana. She has a number of pioneering firsts. She established the immunology unit at the Noguchi Memorial Institute for Medical Research, 1980-83, and she was the first female director and foundation dean of the School of Public Health, University of Ghana. Our chair has received numerous awards and recognitions. I'll mention just a couple. The UNESCO Chair for Women in Science and Technology in the West African region, the 2014 laureate of the African Union Kwame Nkrumah Award for Women in Science, and she was the 2019 laureate for the Clara Safmai Ludlow Award by the American Society for Tropical Medicine and Hygiene. Based on our chair's long-standing, excellent, groundbreaking scientific work, in the year 2021, Women's World recognized her as one of 7 women in science who have changed our world for the better. So, ladies and gentlemen, with a round of applause, let's warmly welcome to the podium Emerita Professor Isabella Quakyi, President of the Ghana Academy of Arts and Sciences.
Thank you, Honorary Secretary, for your kind words. Past presidents of the Academy, vice presidents of the Academy, fellows of the Academy, distinguished invited guests, students, all our invited guests online, ladies and gentlemen, all protocols observed, good evening. It is my distinct honor and privilege to welcome you to this important forum on the theme Galamsey Revisited. Indeed, the Academy remains deeply concerned about the negative impact of illegal mining on forest reserves and water bodies. Our mandate as an academy is to encourage the creation, acquisition, dissemination, and utilization of knowledge for national development. Now, in that vein, our scientists have researched, written on, and submitted policy briefs severally on this matter of pressing national and indeed global concern. Indeed, the Academy has been engaged with issues of Galamsey as far back as 1997. You can guarantee that when the Academy sinks its teeth into a problem, it pursues it to its logical conclusion until it gets the policy directive issues that become useful for national development. In that vein, on the 15th of December 2023, the Academy held a press conference and issued a public statement on illegal mining. And this, we have copies of this still available. Now, this was followed by a publication of the statement in Health Sciences Investigation, a journal of the University of Ghana, 2024. Now, in both statement and the published form, the Academy condemned the scourge of illegal mining and recommended measures to address, including revoking the Environmental Protection Mining in Forest Reserves Regulation 2022, the LI 2462. In 2024, at the height of public outcry on Stop Galamsey, again, the Academy set out a petition for immediate release on 25th September 2024, copied to the executive and sent to Parliament to take immediate steps to revoke the LI 2462. The Academy is not letting go, and we are tenacious when we sink our teeth into a problem, as I said earlier, and seek results. And so we are revisiting the Galamsey in order to focus on new developments and to unravel the perceived lack of progress on the revocation of the LI 2462 since our last press conference of 2024. So as we gather here today, we do so against the backdrop of a growing crisis, one that threatens not only our national environment, but also our collective future. Galamsey, the informal and often illegal small-scale mining practice, has become a complex issue that touches on the economy, the environment, public health, governance, and the very sustainability of our development agenda. While small-scale mining has historically provided livelihoods for many, the unregulated and destructive nature of Galamsey has left devastating consequences: polluted rivers, degraded forests, destroyed farmlands, and shattered communities. The challenge before us, therefore, is not merely one of law enforcement or resource management, but one of balancing economic opportunity with ecological responsibility and long-term national development. Now, this forum provides a vital platform for dialogue, bringing together policy makers, researchers, community leaders, environmentalists, and all concerned stakeholders to critically examine the roots of Galamsey phenomenon and explain pathways towards sustainable, inclusive solution. So let us engage with open minds and a shared sense of urgency. The decisions we deliberate here today can shape not just policy, but the legacy we have for the future. So for our day one, our sub-theme is the challenge of Galamsey for sustainable development. We have two topics. We're going to switch the topics around. So the first topic will be on the social and economic damage. And the speaker for that will be Engineer Dr. Ken Ashigbey, the CEO of the Ghana Chambers of Communication. And then the second topic will be on ecological and environmental damage. And our speaker will be Erastus, Asare, Donkor, our renowned journalists. So this is what is going to happen. I will introduce both speakers, and after their presentations, then we'll have lots of questions and answers. So thanking you all here for being present and all the invitees online as we look forward to a very productive and impactful session. and so the profile of our speakers. For the topic, the social and economic damage, Engineer Dr. Kenneth Ashigbey, fellow Ghana Institute of Engineers, and he has a whole stream of qualifications behind. He says I shouldn't mention any of them, but just engineering will be fine, so I'll do so. He is a key figure in the fight against Galamsey, serving as the convener of both the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey and the Media Coalition Against Galamsey. He holds a doctorate in business administration from SMC University, an MBA from Leicester University, UK, and a BSc in electrical electronic engineering from UST. He recently graduated with an MA in IT law, so the man has everything. More than just a professional, Kenneth Ashigbey is an ardent advocate for media rights. His dedication to this cause is evident in his actions and initiatives. Engineer Dr. Kenneth Ashigbey's influence extends beyond his professional roles. He is a firm believer in the potential of Africans, especially the youth, and believes it is his charge to contribute to building the next generation of Africa's transgenerational and transformational leaders. So this is our first speaker. And then our second speaker is Ernest Asare Donkor, and he will be speaking on the second topic, which will be the ecological and environmental damage, and his profile. Erastus Asare Donkor is an investigative environmental journalist, documentary filmmaker, and broadcast journalist. He is an award-winning investigative and environmental journalist, documentary filmmaker, as I said initially, and seasoned broadcast professional with over 15 years of experience covering Ghana's most pressing social and environmental issues. Renowned for his fearless reporting, Erastus has been at the forefront of exposing illegal gold mining activities, popularly known as Galamsey, and their devastating impact on Ghana's forests, rivers, and communities. Since 2014, his work has spotlighted environmental degradation and sparked national conversations on sustainability, policy enforcement, and accountability. His groundbreaking expose in 2021 led to the withdrawal of military protection for illegal miners in the Apamrama Forest Reserve in the Ashanti region. He has reported extensively on similar destruction in forest reserves, including Tabosre, hope I'm saying this right, Apawasa, Tano Nimri, and Tano Amria. He played a pivotal role in the high-profile case involving Galamsey Queen Aisha Wang, whose arrest and prosecution followed his investigative coverage. Erastus' impactful coverage of the Ijura disturbances led to a presidential committee of inquiry after his reports revealed the circumstances surrounding the killing of 2 civilians by security forces. His acclaimed documentaries, Destruction for Gold and Poisoned for Gold, have won him national and international recognition. Notable awards include, and there's several, and these are just a few: Journalist of the Year 27 GJ Awards 2022, the PAV Answer Prize, CIMG President Special Award 2022, Emmy Africa Communicator of the Year 2023, Environmental Sustainability Personality of the Year KNUST 2023, Best Reporter on Illegal Mining GJA Awards 2022, Best Mining Reporter Ghana Mining Industry Awards 2023, WAMECA 2023 finalist, and finalists covering Climate Now Journalism Awards USA. Beyond environmental issues, Erastus has a deep passion for protecting vulnerable children. His investigations have led to the rescue of 5 children from severe domestic abuse and the conviction of 3 perpetrators as documented in his emotional film, Tortured Innocence. Erastus holds a Bachelor of Arts in Communication and an MA in Communications from the Christian Service University College, which is affiliated to the University of Cape Coast. He also holds diplomas in newspaper reporting and broadcast journalism from the Institute of Commercial Management in the UK. He has received professional training from international media institutions, including the BBC, Dutch, and Voice of America, with specialization in environmental and journalism, mining, and nature crimes. He currently serves as an assistant news editor at Multimedia Group Limited. He does Love FM, Inshra FM in Kumasi. So audience, your eminent speakers, and speakers, your audience. We'll start with Ashigbey. Thank you.
Prof, Chairperson, Your Excellencies, distinguished fellows of the Academy, my colleagues and fellow patrons. It's really an honor to be here today and listening to Prof talk about the mandate of our country, Ghana. One of the reasons why we're where we are today is because as a country, we don't listen to the Academy well enough. When we have issues to be resolved, instead of coming to this noble Academy of Scholarship and trying to get solutions for them, unfortunately, we've converted our country where problems are solved from the dynamics of either you have DC after your N or you have PP after your N. And we don't pay particular attention to what scholarship can do for us. I am praying that the tenacity that the Academy has shown with dealing with this issue of illegal and irresponsible mining, it would awaken that sense of urgency in all of us to pay particular attention to finding scientific ways, research bases of developing and executing and evaluating policy. And I am happy today that as we sit here, it's not only us who are here, but we also have the future of this country. And they are in school. And so once we can build this into them and they get a love for this, we'll be able to develop this country of ours. I wish I did not have to write. I did not have to speak from a prepared speech. Because for me, the issues around Galamsey, it's become a calling. And one of the people who have driven this is one of those who would also be speaking on this topic. Prof. Mensah has been one of the people who have, from 2017 when we started all of this, provided not only the scholastic work, but also the reason why we should keep on doing what we are doing. If at her age she continues pushing it, then for us, the young ones, who have a lot more to lose, then we cannot stop it. So I would urge all of us to give the Academy a major round of applause for taking this particular initiative and really pushing it. 10 years after Ghana declared war on Galamsey, so to speak, we still stand here not in victory, but in devastation. Today we revisit this crisis not as theorists, but as witnesses to a national unraveling. Galamsey is no more an environmental issue. And as the current Minister for Lands and Natural Resources has said, and others have also said, it's an ecological terrorism. I add that it has been enabled by greed and institutional failure, and is pushing Ghana to extinction. The urgency of this crisis cannot be overstated, and we must act now to prevent further damage. As a representative of the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey, which is made up of all sectors of our economy, we unite today to present irrefutable evidence. Galamsey is alienating our economy, our ecosystems, and our very social fabric. Economically, as a country, we lose about 2.3 billion annually to illegal mining. Revenue that could be used to build hospitals, schools, climate-resilient farms, and be able to transform our nation. So this forum must ignite a revolution in accountability. My first article, when I was at Managing Director of Graphic, I wrote about 5 articles. All of them, I wrote them when I was angry about a particular thing. I remember that the article I wrote about Galamsey, I ended at around 3:20 a.m. And it was just because looking at it, the scourge, I came to a conclusion that Galamsey was a result of leadership failure. And I still believe that it is the reason why we're where we are today. And when it comes to the issues of Galamsey, the firefighters are the arsonists. Those we have put in place to put out the fire are the people who are actually setting the fire and benefiting from it. Galamsey began as artisanal mining, but has metastasized into a syndicated organized crime. Today it involves both local and foreign cartels that control the operation. It is reported that the foreigners, and again, because we speak in an academic sector, we speak truth to power. And if you look at the data, starting from the time when Operation Vanguard were doing it, when you look at the foreigners who are involved in it, the Chinese are the primary people who are involved in it. The data supports that. And in a lot of the Chinese engagements, when they bring all the equipment and all of that, the share of the spoils is 85% to them, the Chinese, and 15% to us, the Ghanaians. And we bring them here to come and destroy not only our future and our past, but even our today. You have political kingpins using excavators as weapons of mass destruction to wreak havoc on the soul of our nation. Communities' complicities are fueled by desperation, but orchestrated from above. I posit that Galamsey is not a matter of need, but greed. There was one of the first places we went to when we were dealing with this issue of Galamsey was Masung Kwanta. Masung Kwanta, previous years before, had produced the highest level of cocoa. But then when we went there in 2017, my driver had gone to buy fufu. He could not get fufu for 5 cedis. They were selling fufu at 10 cedis because we had destroyed agriculture and now the people were focused on what was eating them up. So it's really wreaking havoc on the soul of our communities, and it is the greed of it. People would not want to invest into, say, coconut. Coconut would give you about $4,000 per acre. And you'll be able to, after the 4th, 5th year, be able to harvest that for another 30 years. Now that you have gold at $4,000 per ounce, maybe that would be giving you about $8,000 per acre. So do the comparison, and if you do the total cost. We are sacrificing $4,000 for about 30 years, for $8,000 for just this year, and then we leave the place bare. That's what we are doing to ourselves. But who is going to point our people that, no, we shouldn't do this? Legitimate mining and quarry sector, regulated under Act 703, contributed 13.9% of Ghana's GDP in 2024, up from 12.8%, making it the 3rd largest contributor to our economy after retail and agriculture. The president of the Ghana Chamber of Mines reported at their 2025 AGM that gold production soared to 149.8 tons, a 19.3 jump from 2023. Notably, the small-scale sector contribution reached a historical high of 39.4%, with a 70.1 increase in attributed output. While large-scale producers stagnated, artisanal miners stepped up into the gap. revealing a decentralized shift in production dynamics. However, illegal and irresponsible mining operates outside the law, poisoning our rivers, evading taxes, sabotaging Ghana's global mining reputation. The question still exists, whether their gold is contributing to what we are beginning to see. The numbers that we are exporting, the high numbers that we are attributing to small-scale mining. Is the poison gold in there? Is the dirty gold also in there? That's a question we need to find answers to. The root cause of Galamsey, as I've said, is leadership failure and greed. Many excavators that are confiscated by authorities are returned to owners due to political interference. We have several examples from the past regime and even to the current one. The law prosecutions that has existed from 2017, we have a report from Professor Frimpong Boateng. You ask yourself, why is it that over 50 officials that have been named, none of them have been called? Thank God for a refreshing change brought about by the current government. The Honorable Minister has, and then also the IGP, who also needs to be celebrated in what he's doing. The petition of the Ghana Coalition against Galamsey has led to the arrest of one of the directors of Akonta Mining. That has happened. But that is the tip of the iceberg. What is happening to the NDC MP for our win, who has been accused by his traditional authorities of being involved in Galamsey? We have petitioned His Excellency the President. He's acknowledged receipt of it. But what has happened? He claims that it's not true. It is the chiefs that are rather involved in it. Why is it that His Excellency the President, just as he did with the National Service allegation, not order openly an investigation into one of his MPs? The NDC constituency chairperson for Axim has been accused by a large-scale miner, Agamos, a Ghanaian-owned large-scale miner, of being involved in Galamsey on their concession. Why is it that nothing has happened to them? Erastus reported about the NDC constituency chairman for Donkor, who had the tenacity to confront authorized military people who had gone to stop Galamsey. He was asking, why had he not been informed? What locus does he have to stop people who are in the state of their affairs? All of these people also need to be brought to book. If we really want to deal with the issues of Galamsey, the elephant in the room is the politically exposed people. And we need to deal with that. But we have not seen any investigation, neither have we seen prosecutions. Judicial collusion, complicity, and inertia have been a significant challenge that needs to be addressed. From the time of Operation Vanguard, where we've had very low prosecution up till today, the courts and all those who are involved in that chain have been one of the people who have been pushing it. The cases are plenty and many. I remember the case in Takwa, where when 2 Chinese were found guilty of being involved in Galamsey, when conviction was going to happen, the lowest fine that was given to Ghanaians is what was given to them. There was a recent situation where a judge, who should know better than I do, that Act 995 says that when excavators when arrests are made, so far as excavators are concerned, you confiscate that and keep that till the cases are done. And if they are found guilty, forfeiture happens. But this particular judge decided that when the Forestry Commission had arrested these people, he would return the excavators to the people. Thank God he's been punished. But you know what the punishment is? He was just taught the law and he was reassigned somewhere. You wonder if that would be the way you solve the problem, whether that should be the attitude of a people who believe that they are at war. Definitely that cannot be the answer. And so there are several ones. There's a situation where you go into the court and the courts will tell you that, they don't have translators when they have to deal with Chinese people. There's another positive one where, the police had gone to courts. They had arrested some Ghanaian police people and some Chinese people. When they went back to court again, they were supposed to produce the Chinese people 2 Chinese people who had been arrested. The prosecutor sat in court and told the judge that they were dead and they had been cremated. But thank God for that particular judge. He asked that they should go and bring the ashes. And so this is the way, the collusion that happens so far as all of that is happening. And the famous Ashawan case that, Erastus was instrumental in. Initially, when Aisha was arrested, it was an immigration charge that was brought against her, and there was going to be some administrative charges and all of that. It had to take a member of the Ghana Coalition Against Galamsey, Occupy Ghana, to go to petition before the charges were amended. So when I say that the firefighters are the arsonists, there's ample evidence to prove that they themselves are involved in it. You remember that when I asked His Excellency, the former president, in Koforidua about what he was doing about Akonta mining, when his own Minister for Lands and Natural Resources had said that he was involved in illegal mining in the Tanonimri Forest Reserve. And Erastus had done some work that showed that even his concession that he had outside the Tanonimri Forest Reserve, he was breaching the gap that he was supposed to leave between his concession and the Tano River. The president sat on that platform and answered me that Akonta mining was not involved in Galamsey as we speak. This is the president of the country, lying on his teeth. Something that his minister had spoken about, the Minerals Commission had spoken about. So we as a people, we need to rise up. If we want to leave this to only the politicians to deal with, they would not do it. And so it's important that all of us, we support this particular cause. The role of corruption in all of this is something that has been documented. There's several evidence. The reason why this is happening again, I say, is greed. And the examples, are plenty and abound. Cocoa and Galamsey. Cocoa has been our mainstay for a long time, as much as gold has been. But now we are destroying it, and cocoa yields are down in a lot of these Galamsey hotspots. Several hectares have been destroyed. We're losing a lot of billions, and it's not only affecting the national revenue, but even people as well, farmers who are involved in it. Amma Asantewa, I met in Adanse, who had an 8-acre cocoa farm who had now been turned into a mercury pit. I'm not sure whether you all saw it. There was a video of a young boy who was pulled out of those pits. You go into a lot of these communities, you're a cocoa farmer, they come wanting to buy your cocoa farm. If you don't sell it, they will dig around your farm and they will convert it into an island. You cannot go there. And so in these communities, there are a lot of missing people in these communities. They're not missing. They are in those pits somewhere. And those waters will get into people's houses and will get into our water streams. So there was a video recently of where they were picking a young boy out of those pits. Who is crying for those people? Who is calling out for those people? It could be you, it could be me. So what are we all going to do to ensure that this has to stop? Overall, Galamsey undermines the ecological health, economic stability, and the social fabric of the cocoa industry, impeding Ghana's progress towards sustainable agricultural development. Addressing these impacts required coordinated efforts in environmental regulation, community engagement, and promoting legal, sustainable mining and agricultural practices. And again, the interesting thing you look at. Currently, as we are struggling with our cocoa, and the numbers, the way the numbers have declined, China is currently really investing in cocoa. And so you look at us and you wonder what is it that we are as a people. Why are we so wicked towards ourselves? We don't see it. When people are seeing it and are investing and are taking action towards it, we are seeing it sitting there, and just because a few people are benefiting, we continue to do it. The environmental apocalypse is with us. Forestry degradation is really rife. Ghana's forest cover is now estimated at 1.6 million hectares, down from 8.2 hectares in 1900. Galamsey is driving 90% of the recent losses that we are facing. The famous Etiwa forest, globally significant biodiversity area. I can tell you that the LI 2462, that the academy has been forcing and pushing to be able to get done. One of the major reasons was because the former government wanted to go into Etiwa, to go and mine in there. So that's why they added into that law that though the president would not be able to allow people to go and mine in seed orchards, when it comes to globally significant diversity areas, they will be allowed to do that. And this current government, whilst the president promised us that he was going to revoke that particular law when he was in opposition, now he's talking about amendment. The challenge with that particular law is not just amending that small portion of it. In that particular law, we turn over the governance of our resources upside down. One of the sections of that, the regulations of that, says that when you are going to do mining, in the past, first we're using guidelines. If you're going to mine in the forest reserve, you only could do 2%. In this particular ally, they've taken the cap off, the 2% off. Another thing they've also taken off is that in the past, you would have to go to the Forestry Commission first in the guidelines and get a clearance to be able to go there before you do the other processes. But because we know that our people, our friends, our cronies, once we even give them prospecting licenses, like Heritage Imperial, he will take 36 excavators in the name of doing prospecting, go and rape the land. We've turned it upside down. So now what you do is that you will go to the minister first and go and get the permit to be able to go and mine in that place. You will go to Forest Minerals Commission. You will go to EPA before you will come to the Forestry Commission. So by the time the person would have spent, let's say, even said the person is genuine, has spent all of that money, then you come to the Forestry Commission. The Forestry Commission CEO is a staff of the Minister for Lands and Natural Resources. So after he has said that you can't go there and after the minister says you can go and mine, then you're expecting the poor CEO of the Forestry Commission to say, no, you can't go there. That's not going to happen. And so we've turned it upside down. So that law, when the academy says it ought to be revoked, it should be revoked. In as much as government says they are looking at amending Act 703, and that would deal with all the issues, that is a bad law. That law should go. The interesting thing is that a lot of our forest reserves are gone. To the extent that we were told, the minister went to Parliament and told us that 9 of our forest reserves had been taken over by armed mercenaries, and most of them were not Ghanaians. And so the nature of the challenge that we're looking at have moved from just the ecological and all of that. It's a national security crisis. If you consider the fact that in Mali and you have the Liberian example, the Sierra Leone example, a lot of the conflicts that happen in Mali, the coup started as some of these things where you find them fighting around natural resources. They then are empowered, and based on that, they are able to overthrow governments. So it's important that in the interest of His Excellency the President, we deal with this. So when you have a situation when the President reports to us, when he was evaluating the 120-day social contract we has with Ghanaians, that 7 of those forest reserves have been taken over, so 2. But you still have 2 of your land. That is in the hands of these people that are no-go areas for our statutory organizations. And remember, one of those 7 that they've taken over, we went back there again. The Forestry Commission went back there again. And one of the officers was hacked. I don't know whether he's been discharged from Komfuanochi. He was almost killed. There are 2 journalists, one of them, Erastus' colleague, Ohiming Tavia. He was beaten in the presence of the police because these mercenaries had outgunned them. They beat them up. A CTFM person, another one also happened. So the issues when we talk about asking for a state of emergency in some of these places that gives the president, special powers to be able to deal with this, there are genuine reasons why you're doing that. As we speak, there are a lot of and I'm sure Erastus will show us, there are a lot of the water bodies that still have chamfan sitting on them. So those water bodies, is illegal to mine on them. So if you declare a state of emergency on them, then already you're not supposed to go there to go and do that. The forest reserve, you have 2 of them that you currently cannot go there. Why don't you declare a state of emergency there? The NBC said the same when we were with them when they were in opposition with us. Our water bodies, I'm sure Prof. Somensa will tell you what we've done to our water bodies. When I was a young person, when I was in St. Augustine's College, when you got to Beposo, going from Cape Coast to Takrady, there were a lot of fishes that you would see on that river. It was pristine. What do you see now? When you go now, the color of it is gone. And it is so sad. And we forget that we are also, the livelihood of some of those people are being lost. A lot of, the flora and fauna in a lot of these communities are going. But the interesting thing, there's a river in the eastern region called Esuboni. The people of the community where Esuboni is, they don't even have a chief. They don't have a man as called the chief. They have a queen mother. And the queen mother has decided with the elders that they are not going to allow for Galamsey to happen. Esuboni is still pristine. So with the right leadership, we would be able to deal with this thing. Our forest cover is gone. And it's it's receding. We are beginning to even import timber into our country. And, we now have Trump in power, who does not believe the whole climate change. But there's still a lot to be made from the whole thing about planting trees and the economy that comes out of that. Why are we also not looking at that? But we're deciding that, we should let that go. And the interesting thing, speaking to the CEO of the Forestry Commission, he tells me that for every 1 hectare of land that is destroyed, it will cost you $40,000 to be able to reclaim it. This is reclaim. So $40,000, if you consider the fact that over 5,000 hectares of our land has been degraded that badly, multiply that and do the maths. You, the students who are here, how many millions of dollars is that? And if you convert that to cities, how many billions? Where are we going to get that money from? And that is only reclamation. If you are going to restore the flora and fauna, how much is that going to cost you? And how long is it going to take you for those trees that are as old and older than Ghana? When are they going to come back again for us to be able to benefit from them? So the environmental costs, the deforestation, soil erosion, water pollution, climate impact. The social costs, when it comes to the social costs, the loss of biodiversity, a lot of our species are extinct. The health hazards are grave. They are grave. If it was not for the fact that I was doing a lecture, I would have shown you. There are pictures of a young baby born with 6 limbs without genitalia. When the postmortem was done, the level of mercury in the bone marrow, it's something that you can't believe. The renal diseases are on the increase. Now, people as young as you, in those communities, the renal diseases are happening. Prof will tell you that here, the Water Research Institute had gone into some of these communities and done some work. When they were coming, they bought bread on the side of the road when they tested the toxicity levels in them. So what we are doing to ourselves, the level of HIV in some of those communities now are also on the increase. And so when you combine HIV with renal disease, and they go and put that particular person on, the equipment to be able to clean their blood, what would happen if you are now, they go and put you back on the same equipment? What would happen to you? So it is really a major thing when it comes to the health cost. And I don't know how you are going to put a value of even one life that is lost. How many people have not died in the pit, if you want to count them? Also just the people who have died. There was a situation about the woman in Konongo who had just gone to, respond to nature's call in the morning and died in the pit. Who is crying for that woman? Who is crying for that soul? So the loss of livelihood are several. We've talked about, in agriculture, we've talked about fisheries and all of that. There's a lot that we are losing and we think that a few people are also getting jobs. Then we've talked about the cost of restoration of our environment and the management of it. And the economic side, the impact is really real. Because if you look at the burden that even puts on our health system, the amount of money we are spending to be able to treat some of these ailments that are coming from there. If you look at the issues of even water, to the extent that now your water is not being treated with alum anymore. We're treating them with plasma. Plasma is normally used in treating wastewater. That is what is used in treating your water that you're drinking, the water that I am drinking currently now. And the fact that water is clear now, because that's what it does. Coagulation happens and, it becomes clear. It doesn't mean it is clean. You've seen the video about the people in the Western region who produce acheke. What they go and do, and I think it was another work done by Erastus, they go and buy alum and put it into it. Coagulation happens, the water becomes clear. They cook the acheke. A lot of you go to restaurants in Accra, they bring those acheke into Accra, and you eat them. You're cooking your kidneys. But we're sitting there, we're happy about it. Ghana water is costing Ghana water a lot more to treat. And so because of that, about a couple of years ago, Ghana water got a 1% increment in their tariffs to take care of that. That is money that we are taking out of your pocket. And these criminals who are parading themselves, a lot of them in places of power and all of that, they are the people taking that money from your pocket, apart from the fact that they are taking your lives. The point is made about the fact that when it comes to gold, the amount of gold that we say we are exporting, when we tally it with what people have imported, there's a large gap in there. So there's a lot of smuggling going on. Thank God the gold board has come and is beginning to be able to arrest that. But as the gold board arrests that, are we ensuring that those who have dug those pits are fixing them at all? So the taxes, we are losing a lot of tax revenue. Well, the royalties are not being paid. And so because we are losing, those tax revenues are not coming, you and I then will be called on to pay a lot more of the taxes. The economic impact of this, and people, the arguments are made. And one of the questions I've been telling the coalition that we should be asking, we should maybe send an RTI to ask that the gold that has been bought by the government, previously gold for oil, then the gold that the current government, the Bank of Ghana, is buying, the gold board is buying. Can we trace where all of that gold is coming so that we are sure that that gold is not coming from any of these illicit points? Another letter we wrote to Ghana Water, we wrote to the Ghana Standard Authority and the Food and Drugs Board. The question we're asking them is that can they guarantee for us the water that is coming out of our taps, that the level of toxicity in there are acceptable? You know the responses, some of them told us that it is not their mandate to do that. Ghana Water has still not answered the question for us. All of them. They could not assure us. They could not assure us because they can't. Erastus has done some work that says that the treatment that Ghana Water does might not be taking the toxicity out. So we should be asking those questions. The environmental cost is so much. Export earnings are under risk, employment and livelihoods. The impact on our agriculture and our food security is something that really is a major cost. The opportunity cost of the misallocation of resources, the impact on tourism is a major issue. The reduced FDIs that are coming, market instabilities that are coming, the security instabilities are all issues that we need to look at. So if you look at the tax revenue and royalties, a major challenge, agricultural output, the forest and environmental restoration, tourism revenue, health costs, productivity, environmental government expenditure, and FDI and market stabilities are all consequences of this Galamsey. So Galamsey's economic consequences are far-reaching and undermining Ghana's growth prospects, reducing government revenue, increasing public expenditure, and impairing sectors vital for national development. Addressing these challenges is essential for achieving sustainable economic progress. The destruction of livelihood we've spoken about, the issues around the social cost, the surge in crime. There's data to show that anywhere that you have a lot of Galamsey, you have even new crimes that are showing up in those places. You find out that there's a lot of weapons and ammunitions in those places. And so definitely what then follows that when you have weapons and ammunitions is what you can tell. You remember the situation of Abrewa crime that was dealt with, the issues around Jerusalem, the challenges that go into all those places, the issues of prostitution. There are some of the communities that even some of these foreigners, when they come in there, they bring their own prostitutes into those places. And the issues of drug abuse. Opioids now have found their places in there. The issue around tramadol, the issue around red. And you, the young ones, I hope you're also not engaging in that. It's really now, there's a major market that have been created for the reds and the tramadol in these communities. And all of that then would go and impact on the real resource that we have, the people. How ready would they be when they are hooked onto all of that? The school dropout rates in these communities are also high. Because of the lure of the gold, these young boys, why would they want to go and sit in school and all of that when they think that they can go into a classroom? But they forget that what you do that, the surest thing that you are going to do is sustainable poverty. That is what is going to happen. Because gold is an exhaustive material. And unfortunately, those young ones who are also going to go there, they are at the bottom of the pyramid. So they are not going to get the benefits that is coming out of gold. So to be able to fix this thing, there has to be a revolution in enforcement. We need to first start the tracking of excavators because one of our major issues is the earth-moving equipment. Thank God we are beginning to hear the president say today that now before you even put an excavator on the ship and bring them into Ghana, you would need to have gotten the right permit. But it's not enough to just do the permitting. The Minerals Commission themselves have put in place a tracking system that is working. They did a pilot of it, about 68 excavators can be tracked from Accra. They actually can geofence it so that if you have a concession, they will geofence it with the concession, and so that you cannot move beyond that. The question you ask, and again, this is one of the examples where you got a regulator working together with academia, UMAT, and they put the system together. Homegrown solution. The question you ask yourself is that why was it not upscaled? When they actually have an airline, there's a law in place that has given fee fixing to it. is because it was going to stop Galamsey. And who were the people benefiting from the Galamsey? The people who took the decision. That is why that did not happen. So it's important that we speed up the issues of excavating, the excavator tracking and all of that. Then one of my proposals is also that we need to militarize the Forestry Commission. It is not enough for the military to go and hit one thing and come back. So you need to be able to get them to permanently stay in there. And to be able to do that, the same way that the forest rangers in the US are equipped with military accoutrement and also know-how, we need to militarize the Forestry Commission. Another thing we also need to do, the government has come up with a policy that says that when you see excavators in the forest reserves, don't immobilize them. But I would say that if the excavator can move, don't immobilize it. But what they do, these people do, is that they will immobilize it. So you cannot move it out. When you leave, they will come. So if in that particular situation, the Forestry Commission should be allowed to be able to immobilize them. I still believe that the state of emergency is an important thing that we should do, at least in these two forest reserves that are still a problem and on the water bodies as well. Then also we need to implement the polluter pay policy. The same way that the large-scale miners have to ensure that they reclaim the places that they damage, we should ensure that all small-scale miners, either they post a bond and the bond will be used, or we need to make sure that the gold board, whatever money that, we set some money aside and make sure that we are able to implement the polluter pay. I agree with the academy that we need to revoke LI 2462. We need to ensure accountability. And so we need to prosecute all politically exposed people. The report that Professor Frimpong Boateng has given, a lot of the reports that come, the people from that are mentioned by the likes of Erastus and all of that, we should prosecute them. I don't know how we will have a minister. I was praising the Minister for Interior by what he decided to reshuffle the police people. That was a great thing to do. But the same minister now decides that Act 995 that says that when you're a foreigner and you sin against that act and you commit Galamsey, you should be prosecuted before you are deported. He's beginning to deport them and thinking that our prisons are not good enough for the foreigners, but they are good enough for us. Well, how is that happening? Act 995 imposes some severe fines, and you can do the fines and the imprisonment at the same time. Why don't you confiscate their assets, fine them the maximum, use that money to do the reclamation, jail them when it's done before you deport them? Then the people will know that if you come to Ghana and you do this, you'll be dealt with. If you are going to Malaysia right now, when they stamp they give you a visa, they write in it that when you bring drugs in there, it's death penalty. So you yourself, when you get the visa and you're going, you won't dare carry it. We need to get to the point where people will know that when you come to Ghana and you do Galamsey, it's death penalty when you come and kill us. Community engagement is also going to be important. We need to involve the community very meaningfully in the whole Galamsey issues. We need to ensure that when we talk about decentralizing the licensing regime, it is also accountable. So that is also going to be very important. The issues around community mining, whether it is cooperative mining, the past one that was done, it was just another way of allowing the illegality to happen. If we want to do cooperative mining, let's set it up as a company. Make sure that the company is owned by the people in the community. Make sure that the district assembly has some ownership in there. Let's make sure that part of the money is used to do some geological survey so that the places they would go to are places we are sure that is going to happen. So let's make sure that happens, and let's use the community people to be able to reclaim some of the land and make sure that we can reward them for that. So there's a call to action. This particular forum is not just a talk shop. It should be a war council. We demand that our traditional leaders should do what they ought to do. Our clergy have a role to play. Media have a role to play. Academia have a role to play. Citizens also have roles to play. Ghana will not die out of natural causes. It will be murdered by Galamsey. And we are all accomplices by inaction. We stand at an Armageddon. Choose. Will you fight for Ghana or dig its grave? The time to choose is now. Legacy or complicity. Our last chance to win this war against Galamsey is during the current tenure of this president. This president who has not got another term to serve again. This is the time to leave a heritage. And to be able to win that particular fight, the window is only 2 years. After 2 years, people will be clamoring for his role. If you go at that particular time, nothing is going to happen. So the time to fight is today. We all need to ensure that we push to make sure that we can win this fight against Galamsey. Thank you all very much, and God richly bless us.
Thank you very much for this extraordinary presentation. Another wave of applause for. Thank you. We'll have our second speaker, and that's for ecological and environmental damage. Our one and only journalist.
Good evening. Thank you very much, Professor Chair. And you always come to my WhatsApp room. You send me messages of encouragement every day. I'm grateful. And these messages encourage some of us to continue to do what we do. I'm running on the existing protocols, all protocols duly observed. It's a great honor to be in the midst of academicians like you, great persons. I do not think that I know anything at all. In your midst, I'm going to share my experiences on the field. I'm a bushman. It's only when you invite me that I get to wear my Christmas apparel and stand before you. So your permission to speak. When I was contacted by the Academy to deliver a speech, I told them that as a field person, I don't normally want to give speeches. I want to show people what is on the ground. I want to take people to the field. And so I prepared some few slides. So I'm going to take you down memory lane, take you with me to the field where I work, to show you the extent of damage and what Galamsey is doing to us. Please go ahead, please. Next slide. Yeah. So I want us to look at the definition of Galamsey, which you know already. Environmental impacts. We'll take a look at water pollution. I'll take you to the various rivers and streams across the country where I have visited. And then we'll look at the deforestation and land degradation as of now, the health impacts, which I've seen with my naked eyes, the economic impacts, and then I'll proffer some solutions. Already, Engineer Ashigbey has said a lot. What you're seeing in this first picture, this was taken in 2022, and that was in Samreboy. There is a village called Ohiampenika. And that's the Tano River you see around. What has been mined is the annals of the river itself. And so you can see that they've extended into the river itself, the basin, and they've just put the soil around it, and they are mining directly on the riverbed. That is the Tano River. Next slide. So Galamsey is a local term for illegal small-scale mining, often carried out by artisanal miners. It involves the extraction of minerals such as gold using informal and often environmentally destructive methods. And we'll go into some of that. Next slide. So small-scale mining in Ghana refers to the mining of minerals, particularly gold, by individuals, groups, families, or cooperatives with minimal mechanization. And that was what was being done before we started experiencing technology and heavy equipment. And the term is often used interchangeably with artisanal mining, and it refers to mining activities that are conducted by individuals or small groups. So illegal mining, known locally as Galamsey, refers to small-scale mining activities conducted without legal authorization or regulatory oversight. So many times people tend to ask me, when you say Galamsey, you are always talking about the bad side of small-scale mining, and that there are good sides of small-scale mining. Well, the difference is that when you have the license, the law says what you're doing on the ground renders your license illegal. So if you're not conforming with the environmental regulations in mining, then definitely what you're doing there is illegal. Artisanal and small-scale mining has a long history, and I think that many of you in this room know about the history more than I do. My father and my grandfather were mining on their cocoa farm in their Pamprama Forest Reserve way back in the 70s. And when they don't show you where they are mining, you will never know. It is only what they call in Komana, round holes that are mostly covered. That will show you that somebody was mining gold here. They never ventured into streams and rivers. It was a taboo. And they did not destroy the forest cover as well. So it was only in 1989 that the government recognized the legitimacy of small-scale mining through the Mining Act PNDC Law 218, which was later integrated into the current Mining Act 703 in 2006. And it provided blueprint for formalization, reserving small-scale mining for Ghanaians. Now we as Ghanaians are now getting the license, and then we are inviting foreigners to mine. So the prevalence of Galamsey in Ghana is significant, with thousands of individuals and communities engaged in these activities across the country. Over 60% of Ghana's water bodies are polluted due to illegal mining activities, and this according to the Water Resources Commission. And clearly on the ground is visible. The Bremu you used to know, the Ankobra, the Pra, the Tano, the Bia, Ofing, Oda, all of them gone. Countless communities have lost their sources of drinking water. They now import sachet water into the villages. Approximately 35,000 hectares of forest have been degraded, and this figure has changed. Every day, we keep destroying the forest at a very fast rate. All this is happening not because government has not intervened. The establishment of the Interministerial Committee in 2017, which I became the only journalist embedded on it. We traveled far and near. It did not work. The IMCIM has implemented measures such as the deployment of joint military and police task force to enforce mining regulations. I'll tell you why they failed. Faced with pressures from the citizenry, the government of Ghana acted swiftly. In 2017, they placed a ban on all small-scale mining activities. Even within the ban, that is where we got more gold across the country. In 2019, the Galamsey Task Force was inaugurated. Operation Vanguard, Operation Halt 1, Operation Halt 2. They all came on board. We spent billions of Ghana cedis on them. What happened? Additionally, the government engaged stakeholder consultations. Lots of them, we spent taxpayers' money. It did not work. Because those who sent the task forces and formed them were micromanaging them. Go here, don't go there. That site belongs to me. That Chinese man knows me very well. My sister's cousin's brother is the one mining in that forest. Please, don't go there. And I was part of the task force. Sometimes it became annoying. And I had the cause to film their conversations on phone. And that's how come I named some of them in my documentaries. You have somebody in higher places calling and saying, don't go there, move away from there. In one instance, Operation Vanguard seized excavators from an illegal miner in their Pamprama Forest Reserve. Midway, when they were taking it out, they were called by somebody very powerful, close to the president, and said, return the excavators and apologize. They did. Why have various interventions failed? Greed. Those who own these excavators, one excavator cost around 25 billion old Ghana cedis. It's not for the poor. It's for the already rich. So people are greedy. They have money and they want to amass wealth. And that's why they go into illegal mining. Lawlessness. They think they have power. And once you have power, they can abuse it. They can use it for so many things. They can go into the forest and nobody will arrest them. Political influence. People are using their influence. In the past administration, I had cause to name quite a number of them who were behind Chinese illegal miners and influencing their operations in forest reserves. Under this administration, it's happening. Lack of proper enforcement and regulation. The Minerals Commission is almost like a white horse. They give out so many licenses, but they are not able to regulate the licenses. So if you have many children and you cannot take care of them, why give birth to more? And that is why I've been calling for the head of the current boss of the Minerals Commission. And I don't think he needs to be in that office. He has to be replaced. Under his watch in the previous administration, lots of licenses were given, they were not monitored, and today, many forests have been degraded. And when you talk about it, he says that you cannot regulate illegal mining. And so when they see illegal mining, they fold their arms. Influx of foreigners, Chinese, they introduced all the equipment. We did not know about excavators and bulldozers in mining. They brought them in droves. The champagne machines were not known. What we could do with that small champagne machine was to pound fufu with it. But now they've taught us how to fit them on a raft and sit directly on a major river like Ankobra and mine into it. Bribery and corruption. When you meet the Chinese on the ground, they have money for bribery. And it's loads of cash ready. When you say you are arresting them, they are ready to pay any amount you ask. And I've seen it with my eyes. Lack of political will in fighting lapses in the sector. No government wants to arrest their own people. Under the MPP administration, many of the political actors were in there. We filmed Chemaun to Miss Akunta mining, polluting the tunnel, violating environmental regulations. Their tailings dams were directly in the Tunnel River. They were washing into it. And we filmed it. We brought the evidence. When he entered the forest, the Tunnel Nimri Forest Reserve, we filmed it. We shot drones of it. We brought the evidence. No action was taken. Some of us reported and filed formal complaints at the CID, National CID. In the end, they were asking me to produce evidence that it was him that was in the forest. And I said, well, I have presented evidence enough for you. If you doubt my evidence, you have the strength, you have the resources. Why don't you go to the village and find out? Nothing happened. So I'm happy that the current administration has arrested the director of it. Let's see how it goes. So lack of uniform, strong licensing regimes. The licensing regimes are messed up, complex, cumbersome. If you want to mine, you go through a long change of rounding steps. And at the end of the day, it rests with one human being, the last minister, who have to sign. And when he looks at your face and your face is too ugly, he'll say, no, I'm not giving you the license. And so many people prefer to go illegal. Now let's get into the impacts. Water pollution, deforestation and land degradation, soil pollution, loss of biodiversity, air pollution. And I'll go into that. What you're seeing, the picture over there, is the Apamprama Forest Reserve. 50% of that beautiful forest, where my father and grandfather used to work, grow cocoa, are now like this. The Oda River is the river you see in there. It takes a source from the Apamprama. The Apamprama River, of which the forest is named after, joins this Oda River. Now you cannot even see the Apamprama River. They are all combined. The pits and gullies you see there is what is happening now. And children in villages like Binenebin, Odahon, Obuakwa, and others are falling into pits in there. This is inside the Tanoanya Forest Reserve. Okay. So let's get into deforestation and land degradation. Forest reserves affected by illegal mining in Ghana. This is the latest data I got from the Forestry Commission. A total of 45 forest reserves have been attacked. So when the president talks about 9, Mr. President, it is not 9. It is 45 forest reserves that have been invaded so far. And the list of them are there. Ashanti region, 14 of them. Western North region, 12. Western region, 11. Upper East, 4. Eastern region, 2. It includes the Tiwa Forest Range. Savannah region, 1. A total of 45. Now, if you look at them, their names are all there. We have Krokosia, we have Subri, and all those. Western region, Krokosia Hills, Sui River, Suhuma, Anyasu East, Anyasu South, Afao Hills, Upper Wasau. Upper Wasau, that is where CNJ Alaska started their illegality. And that is why Major Muhammad died. People do not know really how he died. But it wasn't the circumstances that you read in the media. So if you look at the total area of forest reserve, and then you look at the corresponding reported impacted area, and then the last one, the remarks, will tell you how the forest has been attacked. So in the first one, illegal mining, use of excavators, and illegal artisanal mining within illegal settlement, it goes on and on and on. The same applies to this one. So all their names are there. I just put the data out there so that at your leisure when you have it, you can go through the number of forests. So, Mr. President, please, 45, not 9. And it's not true that we have cleared even 9 of illegal miners. As we speak, every invaded forest has remnants of illegal mining in there. And we've been monitoring them closely. We don't want to lose sight of them. So the red areas you see there represent active illegal mining. The Forestry Commission says Desiree Forest Reserve is the only one that still has active mining. I disagree. Ofin Shelter Belt, as at yesterday, I had pictures from there. Illegal miners are in there. Jimira and Jimira Extension Forest Reserves in the Nkawie area still have illegal miners in there. As at yesterday, we counted about 5 excavators in Jimira Extension alone. And what happens is that people connive with security agencies and they use the excavators to enter the forest and they keep on digging. I took this in 2022 close to one of the pits. The picture you saw first, the Apamprama Forest Reserve. And this is how it looks like directly on the ground. And you can drive through these pits and gullies for 1 whole hour in that forest. All pits and gullies. In 2018, this is how it started. A company called Imperial Heritage, whose lawyer is Gabi Asare, he has said so himself. And this is what they did illegally. Because when the task force that the environment minister sent, of which I was part, went in there, they could not provide us with a single document. But they were mining. About 35 excavators were in there. And it had not spread like we are seeing it today. When we published it, nothing happened. And today, 50% of that forest is gone. And they are still invading. So this is how the devastation looks like on the ground. This is Tananya Forest Reserve, and you've heard me talk about it a lot. I like that forest because when I entered it for the first time and I saw the kind of materials, raw materials you could find in there, a suruwisa, a formwisa, growing naturally in that forest. The biodiversity is so great. But now, there's a portion of it. An MPP executive went in there and did this with some Chinese miners. I called him, he did not deny. Today, many other actors have entered. I was there. This was taken just a week ago. I was there. That's me standing under the tree. more land area has been destroyed. And they keep destroying. They keep coming in and destroying. This was taken in a town called Pantuso, close to Samra Boy. Town on Emerita Forest Reserve. This was the one Chairman Tumi's company invaded. And they kept on invading. Today, scenes like this in a large area. And what happens is that when an illegal miner, one, enters with 3 excavators, if you don't stop him by a week, he clears a large area, hundreds of trees. They don't harvest them, they dump them, and they put soil on it. You and I need the wood for chairs and beds and other things. They decide to dump them because it's an illegality. It's an environmental degradation I captured in Wasada DSO. It is still going on. This is by the main Ayamfru Road. They are excavating under houses, under wherever they can get. It's illegal, purely illegal, but it's by the main road. There is a DCE there, there is a chief there, we have filed complaints, nothing is happening. Economic impact, damage to agriculture and other industries. You can see that cocoa tree almost falling into a pit. It was a cocoa farm. The owner decided not to sell. And this is what they did to the farm. They dug trenches around it. So when he came, he was forced to sell. That was the last cocoa tree I saw, and I took a picture of it. So loss of cocoa farmlands, illegal mining activities have led to destruction of cocoa farmlands. Many have sold their farms willingly. Others who will not sell have been forced to sell. Galamsey has caused widespread environmental degradation, including deforestation. Now, cocoa farmers are not getting water to spray their crops. Their farms are close to the major river, but they have to carry water miles from home. The yield has been affected. The use of harmful chemicals and heavy metals in illegal mining has contaminated soil and water sources, leading to reduced cocoa yields, and even the beans is being affected now. I captured this. This is a publication, a recent publication, Ghana's cocoa risk being rejected by the European market if found to be contaminated. And they are starting testing of cocoa beans coming from Ghana, yes. And so it will reach a time, definitely they will find us out, because already they are finding traces of heavy metals in the beans and in tubers and yams that we are exporting. I took this at Odaso. And this is the Oda River. They treat it for the people of Obuasi. This is the Ghana Water Company's source point. And that's the nature of the water they are treating. So Galamsey operators often evade taxes and royalties, depriving the government of revenue. Because it's illegal, government cannot get royalties from it. They evade taxes. You and I will not benefit. They are stealing the gold that belongs to me and you. They are not paying any tax. And they are leaving the pits and gullies for us to pay to reclaim. So if you think you are not being affected, your taxes will be paying for the reclamation. And it costs about $32,000 to reclaim 1 acre of land. 1 acre of land. So imagine what we are seeing, how much it will cost. Illegal mining activities result in a loss of mineral revenue that would have been collected through legitimate mining operations, cost of cleaning up environmental damage caused by Galamsey, and the health cost to the economy. We have not calculated that. The health cost. How many people are dying out of it? And I told the GMA, doctors have been calling me to their consulting rooms. Come and have a look at this child. He or she is having cancer, childhood cancer that we've never seen before. It's coming from the Galamsey belt. Plenty of it. Those with silicosis, hardening of the lungs from Galamsey. Young people at the respiratory units. You take them off of oxygen, they are dead. At Konfanochi, we still have some of them now. The last time Pediatric Society was talking about a child who was brought in with a high level of mercury in her blood. Where are they getting it? Pollution of water bodies. This was taken a week ago. That is the pra polluting the sea. That is the pra polluting the sea. A friend was high up on a plane. She saw it and she took a picture and sent it to me. But I've been there at the estuary, and it's bad. And we have children naively swimming in them. Turbidity is the measurement of the degree to which water has lost its transparency due to the presence of suspended particles. The accepted turbidity value for drinking water, according to the WHO, is 5 nephelometric turbidity units. Please keep that in mind, 5. This is 2023, Water Resources Commission turbidity values. The brim is 4,340 NTU at Akemoda, 1,295 Osino. That was in 2023. Ofin, 684, it was better at Donkor. Now, if you see the figures from there, you'll be shocked. 1,440 at the Emerita. The beer was 1,059 at Dadieso. And I covered it at Mafia, a small village in Sehujabo. And if you look at the water and how they are polluting it there, it's shocking. The Butre was 482 at Ewusiejo. Now it's quadrupled. The Tano, 519. After Akonta Mining polluted it, and plus other mining companies, you have to see how it's worth now. The Pra, Chifu Pra, so 3,940 at Dabuase. And I'm interested in Dabuase because that's where the Ghana Water Company's intake point is. And they treat that water for people in Takoradi and some parts of Cape Coast. It was 3,540 at Dabuase. And Cobra, 8,500 at Pristia. What has happened to it now? I went there 3 weeks ago at Pristia. They've blocked it totally. So the Ankobra now is not flowing. They've blocked it on the bridge. And they are sitting in the basin with excavators. Now, this is the latest. This is April 2025. Turbidity units. If you can zoom in for me small. Offering at the Emerita, 19,325. The brim, Bunso, 20,476. Osino, the same brim, 14,308. Akibi is better, 519. At Potrase is 21,786. The Pra, look at the values. At Dabuase is now 5,500. Chifo Praso is now 6,000. Sechrehimai, 4,000. With this figure, at Sechrehimai, the Ghana Water Company gave me 10,000. And the Ghana Water Resources is giving me 4,000. Later, I'll ask my questions, why they got different figures. And Cobra, 2,261. Dominance, 3,744. The Tano, Techima and Tano so is better. You see, the Tano River up there is better. But when you come to Samreboy, and I had wanted them to sample Samreboy, unfortunately, they didn't. All the areas they sampled were clean. But if you go to Samreboy, it's not good at all. Now, the BI is 6,000. And on the ground, aside the figures, this is how it looks like. You see, this is the Butre River. It runs through Ewusiejo. And they use it for domestic chores. They use it to cook. They use it to do so many things. So you see the child washing utensils in there. Now, what they are doing over there, well, before I get back to that, this is the Tano River in Samreboy. So if they had sampled this, you would have gotten different figures. But this picture is not current. This was in 2022. Now, if you look at it, it's worse. This site belongs to Akonta Mining Limited. And this is the evidence I've been showing since 2022, that they should arrest the directors of Akonta Mining Limited. Today, if they are arresting him, nobody should play politics with it. This is what the company was doing to the Tano River. That's their site over there. nature criminals, I call them nature criminals. This is the champagne machine introduced by the Chinese. So the machine, the motor that we use to pound fufu, this is what they've turned it into. They've mounted the machine on the raft. There is a washing board on the raft with a mat which traps the gold. There is a rod which the guy is holding in front of the raft. And it has a suction point at the end of it and a rod that goes deep into the sediment. And so when they start the machine, they do that. They stir the sediments. And then it sucks it onto the raft and it washes back into the river. And we have hundreds of them sitting on the river. Hundreds. I've seen it on the Ankobra. I took 4 hours on the Ankobra. I went through Dominase, Banso, Anwolenzo, Douale, all the Nzema towns. And you find some farm machines sitting on the Ankobra all through. This is the thing. Hundreds of them. This is Dabuase, the Pra River. This is the intake point of the Ghana Water Company. This is the water they are pumping through this station and treating. I asked the gentleman one question. I said, after your treatment with polymers, previously they were using alum, now it's not working. They buy gallons of polymers and they use it in, settling the water before they treat it. What are you treating? Said fungi, microbes, viruses, and bacteria. So what happens to the heavy metals? Are you able to lift them with the treatment? He said no. But he asked me not to mention it in my report. In fact, that was the first thing I mentioned. This picture was taken a week ago. Chifu Praso, that's the Pra River. You see the champagne machines sitting on it. This used to be Ankobra 2016. This is 2017. If you look at it today, you'll be shocked. This is the estuary where it joins the sea. So that's the Ankobra polluting the sea over there. What is happening is that now we are not getting fishes that used to come from the sea to the estuary where they could fish. So all those boats with no outboard motor, they are out of jobs. They cannot go to sea. This is the pollution, the estuary of the Pra joining the sea, Ashama, Anglo Beach. When you go there, you see the Pra polluting the sea miles. River Ashri, Wasa Kupong. This is how it looks like. Children swim in it. When I told them it would be dangerous, they were laughing at me. The health impacts. Heavy metal poisoning. And there's evidence of it on the ground. Drowning in abandoned pits. And I want you to do a simple exercise. If you have your phone, just type in children who have drowned in pits, Galamsey pits in Ghana. Just search that in the Google search engine and see what you will find. And just count the number of cases that have been reported. It will shock you. Many children are dying in pits. Poisoning of water sources increases the risk of diseases, including cancer risk. Now back to my Ewusieje story. Women use aluminium sulfate to settle polluted water and use it domestically. So they buy alum. And you see what she is doing. So below here, you see the alum. Then he takes it, pours into the bucket of water, stirs it, it settles it, then she pours the clean water, and that's what they use to cook. They have no idea the implications. Even the clean water has heavy metals in it. We tested it at KNUST and we found quite a number. So samples of water we picked from the polluted rivers, we named them. The dark one, we stored it for 2 weeks, and when we picked it up after 2 weeks, this is how it looks like. It tells you that a lot of chemical reaction is going in there. So we tested them, and the one we picked from the Dabuase headworks, the Ghana Water Company point tested positive for 0.288 milligrams per liter of arsenic, 0.186 milligrams per liter of chromium, and 0.56 milligrams of lead. And they are all above the safety levels. The Ghana standard is 0.050. So you do the calculation, you do the math, it's over 200% above the normal. And that's the water that we tested. So when you have some leisure time, you can go through the figures, we generate the data. We did for arsenic, cadmium, chromium, lead. And these are the figures, all above 200%, normal levels. But all this is happening not because we do not have laws. Ghana's mining laws prohibits mining in water bodies. The Minerals and Mining Act 2006 at 703, specifically Section 24 of the Act states a mineral right shall not be granted over an area which is declared under Section 23 to be protected area or a sensitive area, including A, wetland, forest reserve, national park or wildlife reserve, a water body or a public road. A mineral right holder shall not conduct mining operations in a way that causes pollution of a water body, damages a public road or water body. All this is happening now. The fines, ranging from 10,000 Ghana cedis to 100,000, approximately $1,700. That is peanuts to somebody who is mining for various offenses. And then in some areas, it even prescribes up to 15 years in prison. But nobody is getting arrested and prosecuted. And so it continues to happen. The effects of exposure to heavy metals, mercury poisoning, it causes kidney damage, neurological problems, and birth defects. Lead poisoning, developmental delays, organ damage, and neurological problems. Arsenic causes skin discoloration, nerve damage, and increased cancer risk. And I have seen and interviewed, when you watch my documentary, Poison for Gold, we interviewed a young man who was so much exposed to the amalgamated mercury they burn. So you see the gold buying points scattered across the rural settings. When they get the gold, they use mercury to amalgamate. And so they burn off the mercury before they weigh and buy. So all the centers you see, they are all burning the mercury and they are generating vaporized mercury in open air. Dr. Eugene Ansa, KNUST, did a research in Gbani, in the Upper East region, and they found high levels in open air, the air that everybody is breathing, high levels of vaporized mercury in that air. When you breathe that consistently, it gets into your lungs and it turns into solid mercury. And many of the doctors are seeing that in their consulting rooms these days. And that will eventually kill you. So the effects on the unborn, this is not Photoshop. This is real. These children have been stored at the Kwame Nkrumah University of Science and Technology for observation. Professor Osei Sampene has been gathering quite a lot of material on that. And they found high levels of arsenic, cyanide, and mercury in the placenta of the women who died with these babies. And when you find something in the placenta, what does it mean? It means that it's in the baby, because that is what provides the child with air, food, and everything. And we all know the research associated with how it affects the formation of the baby and it creates deformities. So this child, as you see there, has 6 fingers, 6 toes, a malformed head, no genitalia, and there are about 6 of them now. And we keep seeing them. All of them are coming from Anyaso, Bebiani Anyaso Bekwai, and the Donkor areas, Galamsey prone areas. The effects on climate change is visible in the Benenebing or Dahon areas where the Pamprama Forest Reserve has been depleted. They are experiencing severe heat. They are also experiencing changing patterns in rain. When the farmers wanted to plant maize, they are not getting it. It's no longer coming. So why is such a serious environmental issue not making the headlines anymore? With this kind of fire on the mountain, why are a few people running? Why are we not running? And that is what scares me. That in Ghana today, this is the most topical issue that is happening to us. It's affecting our lives, but we are not angry. So solutions to the Galamsey problems, I have preferred a few. Strengthen regulations and strict enforcement of environmental laws. We should go for stricter punishment. If we have to amend our laws, we have to do that. We have to enforce the laws. Laws without enforcement mean nothing. Use of technology in regulatory regimes. And Engineer Ashigbey mentioned one very important factor. Why has the Minerals Commission set up an ultra-modern excavator tracking hub, but they've not operationalized it? From 2022. They've not operationalized it. It can monitor excavators in real time, where they can see where the excavator is going and even stop it. That's the geofencing that Engineer Ashigbey talked about. It's not been implemented. Why? Well, my suggestion is, my hunch is that because perhaps in the previous administration, because many of the cronies were working in there, nobody wanted his excavator tracked. But I think it's high time that the government says enough is enough. Bring all excavators on the field so we can give a timeline. That, okay, from today to say end of 2025, every excavator should be tracked in the country. And the new ones that are coming in should pass through that platform to be tracked before it is released into the system. If after the deadline, your excavator is found without a tracker, it goes to the state. If we need regulation to do that, let's do that. It will help us to track every excavator on the field and be able to monitor their movement. And then when the license is given, you know the coordinates. So when they are getting out of their coordinates to mine in other areas, you could see it in real time on a screen in Accra. Promoting sustainable mining practices. And that is where we have to streamline the licensing regimes so that it will be easy to get a license. And then the minerals commissions to be strengthened so that they will monitor and regulate the licenses and make sure they are doing as they are specified in the license. We should support meaningful alternative livelihood empowerment programs. I have heard that they're going to come up with a cooperative idea, which is similar to the community mining regime. Let us not compromise that one. It's a good idea, but let us not hijack it for personal parochial interest. We should make sure that the communities are involved and they own it. And we should also regulate it. I will go for hard rock, underground mining, instead of surface mining. It will help. Evolving new security interventions for the protection of forest reserves. And on the ground, I discussed with the IGP once, and I said, why don't we have permanent base, police military base in every region? Permanent. They are stationed there. So when there is an issue, they move in. So that we do not have the ad hoc nature, the firefighting approach, where we hear that there's something going on, we send police from Accra to the hinterlands, they arrest people because we don't trust the police at the local level. And it's true, when you are going on operations and you meet a police barrier, hide your face. When they get to know that you're going on operation, by the time you reach there, anomar background too. Set clear off limits to mining, and that is where the emergency situation we are calling for comes in. If you have these polluted rivers, all your rivers, major rivers polluted, you need a state of emergency to be able to clear people off it and state it as a no-go area. In the Galamsey field, statements matter. When you are able to send a strong signal to one person, it moves on to the other person that, hey, stay off. We have started a Poison for Gold community tour as a way of trying to educate the citizenry on the effect of illegal mining. We are using mine documentary Poison for Gold, which we have translated into the Twi language. We showed it in Samraboy, and then we engaged the people. Many of them did not know about arsenic or mercury affecting their health. And it was such a life changer. We brought it to Dinyase Huntado in Bekwai. We are moving ahead. We are trying to get funds to, expand and take that education forward. And I think that is where the NCCE comes in. Why is the NCCE so silent at a time when we need them so much? Why? At this point, we should be seeing short videos on TV and on radio, educating the people on the effects of illegal mining. And if the president is listening, NCCE should be empowered to play their critical role in all this. Needed interventions, more CSOs needed on board. We need them. Involvement of academia in quality research to inform discussions. And I'm happy with the academy. What you have done today is really memorable. And it will keep some of us on our toes. And it shows us that you have not left us. You are with us in all this fight. We are so happy with you. Public education, role of NCC, I've mentioned it. Associations like GMA should make their voices heard on the health impact of Galamsey, not invite Erastus to their consulting rooms. Let the Ghanaian people know about what you are experiencing in your consulting room with regards to the impact of Galamsey. Hold press conferences. Tell the people about it. Use the lives that you're seeing, the dangers you're seeing, to educate them. EPA, Minerals Commission, should go beyond the talk and go beyond the talk and talk about regulation, proper regulation. Government should have the political will to go through. Now I'm seeing some feet dragging. I'm seeing some success, but I'm also seeing feet dragging. I'm not seeing a complement or plans by this government in fighting this. Reclamation, enforcement, alternative livelihood empowerment programs, they should go hand in hand so that we will see. Political parties must call their members to order. If they want to play politics, they should play it better. NDC should hold a press conference and tell their people that they are not for illegal mining and that their people should desist from it. The same applies to the other parties, MPP, NDC. They should make it clear their stance on illegal mining. So we need to resurrect the nation's passion for the fight urgently. We should save this space. This is all we've got, the whole of the earth. When you go to space and you see that round blue ball in space, this is our portion. If you continue to destroy it this way, it's like being in a cup or a bucket and trying to lift yourself off the ground. Thank you.
We've had two absolutely brilliant presentations. We couldn't have asked for better. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. We'll have some few minutes for questions and answers. And you get up and identify yourself and where you are from. And not another lecture, please, just cryptic questions, and the speakers will try and answer. Okay, so.
While the students are getting themselves ready, in order not to waste time, I have to ask a question to both of you, particularly to Erastus. What you're doing is very dangerous work. And how do you protect yourself? Who are you doing it with? If Erastus Asare Donkor was not here tomorrow, who would do this work? How are you protecting yourself? And the same goes to Ken Ashigbey, but particularly because you do a lot of field work. and you're dealing with very powerful and dangerous people. Nature criminals, you call them. I think it's quite a good term. I want to know. I'm not asking you to disclose any secrets about how you protect yourself, but in other words, tell us what you have faced and how you are ensuring that this risky but really necessary work will go on. Yes.
Can we take about 5 questions and then we'll do another round?
I personally would like to thank the two of you for coming. I spoke to you separately. Erastus, is it possible for you to give this lecture in Parliament? I think that you should give this lecture in Parliament with the full backing of the Academy.
Right. I get asked this question quite a lot.
Sorry, 3 more.
3 more.
Yes. Well, let's get a third one and then he can do it 3. I guess everyone wants an answer. Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm on the floor. Yeah, available statistics shows that we have more gold underground than on the surface, by about 70%, and we have enough gold in Ghana to last for over 900 years. We started surface mining because it was found to be far cheaper than underground mining. And underground mining went down. With what is facing us now, why don't we ban surface mining altogether? That if you don't have money to invest in underground mining, don't mine at all.
Okay.
Shall I go ahead?
Yes.
Okay, right. So let me start with the suggestion that we should do the presentation in Parliament. In fact, I would love to. If we can create that avenue. It will be a game changer to do that. And then concerning my security, I don't have an army. The only army I got is Jehovah. And so many times when I'm asked that question, I point you to the man up there. Because seriously, when I started to move away from the task forces that I was following, because with the task force, you have to do your reports within their domain. And so we're not getting the independent reports that we have put out. They will choose the place you will go, and you have to follow. But I felt that we're limiting ourselves, and we needed to document the damage. So we decided to form a team of 4. I have a drone pilot, I have a camera technician, a driver, and myself. So what we discussed all this security in detail. And we all agreed that we have only one person to protect us, and that is God. And we also felt that nature is what we are trying to protect. And if nature is such a strong force, then we'll be protected. But aside all this, we are also practical human beings. So we put in a lot of precautions. We do our recce on the ground days before we go there. We assess the kind of people who are mining, whether they are armed, what kind of arms are they holding, which days. Do they have armed people there? Which days do they not? So we plan based on that. We do a proper recce. And sometimes we involve the local chiefs and opinion leaders. So when they are with you, the risk is minimal. But recently, we have not been able to go on the field like we used to do alone. These days, we have to employ military and police because now people are arming themselves and becoming more dangerous. They know what they are doing is illegal, but they are prepared to protect it. And that is where forest guards are not even able to go there now. If you remember, one has been slashed in the knee with a machete, and he's still battling for his life at the Konfanochi Teaching Hospital. So these days, we are a bit more cautious. So, but aside that, I'm a family man. I have 3 children. And moving out has become very dangerous for me these days. My car has been tracked so many times. Normally, I watch my surroundings before going home, who is following, who is branching when I branch. And I use all manner of precautions, which I cannot table here to protect myself. And so that's what we do. But we also get prayer warriors from ordinary Ghanaians, people who pray for us every single day, people who encourage us, people who watch our backs. When they hear something, they say something. And we are also able to plan based on that. I've heard people, to the third question, I've heard people say, why don't we ban alluvial mining? I agree. I agree in principle because we are not understanding the nature of mining. One, we have the ore. We don't even have geological data to even go directly to the ore. There is the assumption that gold is found in wetlands because when it rains, it washes the residue from the topsoil down to the wetlands. And so wherever you go, you see people attacking the wetlands, rivers, streams, and all that. I think it's a very lazy approach to mining. Why don't we make sure that if you want to mine, the law says present your geological data. Once you have presented it, then you present how you're going to mine that ore. Are you going hard rock, underground, surface, or whatever it is? And it is the duty of the EPA, the Water Resources Commission, and the Minerals Commission to say that no, where you're going to mine, there is no buffer. It violates the buffer zone, so we will not allow you to mine. That is there. We are supposed to present an environmental impact assessment. That environmental impact assessment is supposed to be published days before you start mining. So you do community engagement for the people to know. If they are not happy with it, they can go to court and stop you. But that is not done. The environmental impact assessment is not even done. So seriously, if we were to go strictly according to the laws that we have, we shouldn't have these lapses. We can mine, get your gold in a small area where you are restricted to, and everybody will be happy.
The question has been answered, isn't it? You see, if Erastus does what he does, then how dare people like us, to say that we won't do it. And just to answer the question, Prof, is the fact that I think for all of us, we've allowed these cowards, to I don't know. When I'm protecting my security, so my children, when I look into their faces, Nuna, Bubune, and Edem, and so what is going to become of them? And even you today, the fact that you are not even acting, you are endangering yourself. Do you know where your food is coming from? All the food that we eat, do you know where it's coming from? And we've been told about the fact that even it's in the air. Do we know that? So I think that, you see, because we've all been quiet, we've allowed them and they think that they can cower us. You see, the interesting thing is that we'll all go one day. What would you be remembered for going one day? And the people I see, who don't know me from Adam, the first thing they tell you is that they are praying for you. That's the first thing they tell you, that they're praying for you. So I think that's what it is. But the thing that we need to do is to get the docility of the middle class to stop. We should all start speaking up. Because the issues, now you don't even need to go into anywhere hidden to go and find out where the things are happening. So we all need to follow the example of the academy. And all I would just say to the academy is that the leadership has done well. But the members of the academy, you should also take it up and start saying it. Start talking about it. Charlie, the death we will die, it will happen one day. But let's not be part of the people they will mention. You see, Ghana, this is not the first Ghana. The first Ghana is extinct. The first Ghana. Songhai, Mali Empire days. That Ghana is gone. This Ghana would go if you continue the things you're doing. For you, the young ones, I don't know what future will be left for you. Look on the Abri Hills and see what we are doing to the Abri Hills. Everywhere. We are living like a generation that nobody's going to come after. And it's because all of you are quiet. It's because all of you are not angry enough. And you allow that when it happens, people will go and stand in front of Yoko and say they are protesting. Protecting who? It has to stop. The self-hatred of the Ghanaian has to stop. We should be able to look the president in the face and say, this is not going right. We voted you into power. But all what we've done is just to be quiet and allow these people, just to be taking advantage of us. So all I would say to all of us is that, yes, let's protect ourselves. Self-preservation is important. But the most self-preservation is ensuring that this thing that we are doing continues to happen and we find a way of reversing it. Nature is interesting. If we are able to stop this, it will find a way of, protecting itself. But if we don't, the same way COVID came and nobody could fly. If you're not careful, that's what is going to happen. What I am afraid of now is that heavy downpour of rain. There's going to be excessive flooding in a lot of these communities and the people that are going to die. These people are digging under high tension pylons. One of these pylons are going to go down and the death that is going to happen. And we're seeing all of this. But we are only, so we should be concerned about ourselves, and that should make us all act and make sure that this thing, we continue to push it. If we really were really serious, this room would have been filled. But most of us are sitting down and thinking about how much money we can earn. And some of you are even benefiting from this illegality. Shame on you if you sit in this room and you are part of it.
I think unless you others have some burning questions. Students, do you have any burning questions? Okay. Yes. We'll take three questions from the students and then we can call it a day.
Okay, thank you for this opportunity.
Your name, speak loudly.
I'm in the person of Clement Okai from Accra Academy. And then when Professor Engineer was making his statement, Dr. Engineer, he made mention of those foreigners that engage in illegal mining in Ghana here, giving their own percentage after mining. That's the 15% that goes into that is being given to the people who engage into the mining. And I want to ask that, do they give it to the people, or is the Ghanaians themselves that says that we want the 15%? And there is a recent case that popped up that Chairman to me was arrested by the Iroko, and then they granted him a bill of, I think, 50 million Ghana cedis. And then I want to ask that, since there is a constitution, and then what the law states that when people who engage in illegal mining are being caught, they have to face the law, but now they've granted him a bail. So I want to ask why the Iroko granted him that bail.
Two more.
Please, thank you. I'm in the person of Amega Daniel from Accra Academy. And please, I'm really interested in the presentations made by both of you. It has really impacted a lot. And looking back at Ghana, we started and we were the major exporters of gold. In fact, we were, before that, we were the major exporters of cocoa. In I think 2010 or so, we were the first exporters of cocoa. Every other country uses cocoa from Ghana, but now we are coming down and it's overtaken by gold. So now that we are pushing for gold, illegal mining to be removed, what do you think will be replacing gold in the top exports of Ghana? So I'm saying, what will be the top exports of Ghana since it will no longer be gold? And I also want to ask, what's the role of Cocoa Board in fighting illegal mining? Because over 8 acres of cocoa farm being planted every year, the cocoa rate is also going down. The farmers are being forced to sell their farms, and they can sell it for close to 32,000. But what is Cocoa Board doing to prevent all this? Thank you.
That's a good question. Last question. The last question.
Please, good evening. My name is Prof from Accra Academy. Please, I want to ask a question about the youth.
We can't hear. Speak loud.
The youth. Now that they said they should stop illegal mining, which is a good thing, what can they do to help the youth who already engaged in the illegal mining?
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so some really interesting questions. The 1585%, the reason is that these, especially the Chinese, they bring the equipment in. And then, so the Ghanaians, as we know, small scale mining, it's the Ghanaian who can go and take the license. And so when they bring the equipment in, we front for them. Then when you mine, they will take 85% and they will give you 15%. So one of the other suggestions that have been brought is to be able to get, so once you organize the people into a proper organized team where you've done the exploration and you know there's gold there, is to also be able to get some equipment so that then they can rent the equipment and then they don't have to go and depend on these people. There is also the partnerships that happen between the Chamber of Mines and the Small Scale Miners Association. So if that partnership can be deepened, and then there can be some collaboration for those who want to do green and sustainable mining. So it is something that we need to do to be able to, but again, it's also to be able to investigate this thing and make sure that these people who are involved in these things, we are dealing with them. The issue about granting bail, every crime, I think there's a case that have been determined that once you commit the crime, it is only the court that can say you are guilty. So till you are pronounced guilty, you can be granted bail. So the Yoko thing, the processes will go through and they'll have to go to court. And then when the court says that they are guilty, then sentencing can be done. The role of Cocoa Board, I will do that and then I'll give the rest. But I think it's a good question you ask. Cocoa Board should be playing a more pivotal role. The interesting thing is that there are rules, there are laws about not destroying economic crops, and cocoa is one of them. So at some point, Cocoa Board will talk about it. There were situations where Cocoa Board had to return loans that we had taken because they could not get water for some of the projects that they are doing. There's also this, I think Erastus mentioned it about the testing of our cocoa, but there are situations where our cocoa has been returned. We've exported and they've returned them. So Cocoa Board should be playing a more pivotal role. So if you take, for example, the effort that Erastus is doing, screening the gold for poison for gold, Cocoa Board should be supporting this to be able to take this into the communities, because one of the things we need to do is to be able to speak to the hearts and minds of the people who are in this. It would be interesting if we could get billboards of people who had even died in the pit and show it in those communities, because a lot of them sometimes don't know when people play on all of that. So that's an important thing that we need to do to address these things.
Thank you. I'll just add a few. You're talking about first in gold export, and if you stop Galamsey, what are we going to do? See, look at the problem this way. Even if the world decides to go with current traceability laws in buying gold, Ghana will not be able to sell its gold in Europe. Even currently, we're facing challenges in selling our gold in Europe and other countries. It's all going through the United Arab Emirates, India, and the rest, who have leniency when it comes to laws, traceability laws. What traceability laws mean is that in Europe, if you are selling your gold, you need to provide evidence of where you mined it. So you need to show the geolocation of where you mined so that they will check. Use Google Earth and other platforms to check whether indeed you got it by degrading the environment, or else they will not buy your gold. And even in Dubai these days, they are coming up with you fill a lot of forms before you sell the gold. We are getting there, where our gold could be blacklisted. And then the only ways we will have to go will be selling it through the United Arab Emirates and the black market. But if we are able to do sustainable mining, so we are not saying stop mining. Mining in itself will continue to mine. We are not saying stop mining. But what we are saying is that let's do sustainable mining. So if you're a small-scale entity and you want to mine, go and get your license. Let the Minerals Commission and the Water Resources Commission and the EPA go over to the land and see that you are conforming to the rules of mining. We can set up refineries and do proper sluicing. The sluicing is how you process your gold, and you don't add mercury. You use, for example, the gold catcher, which will give you more yield, and then it also does not pollute them. You don't use any chemicals. If we do it that way, we'll be exporting more gold, and we'll be targeting European markets and all the other markets, because we will show where we are able to mine the gold. That will give us more gold than what we are doing now. Now, because of traceability, we are smuggling through our borders and selling it off Togo and other areas. But if we are able to streamline it, government will benefit. We all benefit. The environment will be safe to live in. And then the other thing was about bail. Well, currently, every offense requires bail. So he's entitled to bail. Just that the bail conditions set out by Yoko is what he's not able to meet. And that is why he's still in cells. The due process of the law must be followed. But I say, decouple what is going on from politics. This is not political witch hunting. If it is about illegal mining that he's being prosecuted for, the gentleman's company has done a lot of bad to the environment, which violates many of our laws. And so he should face the law just like anybody else. Nobody is above the law. So let us not mass up and do that drama at headquarters and say that somebody is politically witch hunting somebody. But let's follow due process of the law as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, we happen to have Professor Michael Quakyi, the head of Cocoa Board Protection. And he wants to add a couple of issues here, address a couple of issues here. I think we have to give him a chance. He's at the back here. Please.
Thank you very much. Let me commend the...
Please, we can't hear. Move forward a little.
Let me commend the Academy for this very important program. My senior APSU has already spoken about laws cocoa we are using to protect our cocoa products. In fact, with the destruction going on, management of Cocoa Board in 2022 came out with a policy that Cocoa Board should have an office to combat the activities of illegal mining, going on in the country. Because we're receiving a lot of reports of cocoa destruction. Several hectares of cocoa farms have already gone. And so when the DEX was set up, we came out with measures to help management combat the activities of especially illegal mining and other forms of cocoa destruction. And one of the major measures we came out with is the enforcement of the Economic Plant Protection Acts. The Economic Plant Protection Act was enacted in 1979, about 40 years ago. We started enforcing this act, which says that in Ghana, nobody has the right to destroy any cocoa tree without seeking written permission from the minister in charge of cocoa or Cocoa Board. The law also says that if you don't seek permission and you destroy any cocoa tree, you can be taken to law courts. Where permission is granted, you need to also pay appropriate compensation to the farmer. And with this, we are not saying that the mining company or the person destroying the cocoa should prescribe or contact valuation board to come out with rates of destruction. And so because of this law that we are enforcing, we've come out with a number of measures. One is sensitizing the farmers about the law. And that is why most of the time we are having issues coming on media, fighting with illegal mining companies, individuals. It's because of the enforcement. We've granted farmers legal support because we've seen that most of these farmers, when there's any issue and they take the issue to courts or even the police, they make it foolish case. Some instances, they don't have money to pursue the case. And so they are left, at the mercy of their fate. Because of that, we granted them legal support. So what Cocoa Board does is that any farmer who has any issue relating to cocoa destruction, we use our lawyers and then we intervene on behalf of the farmers. That is one. We are doing sensitization, educating farmers, especially on how license of legal mining, for somebody to go into mining, you need to go through certain procedures. One, you need to register with Mineral Commission, just as they said, and exploitation license will be given. Prospecting license, consent before finally lease is released to the miner, but they don't go through all these processes. Why some of them, going through the prospecting, when they are given the license, they go to, tell these farmers that they have lease and they will start mining in their cocoa farms. At times, they are vulnerable because they will go with security personnel. Just as they were saying, some politicians are behind DCEs. And so if you are there in your DCE with security personnel, they come and tell you that government has given them license to mine. As a farmer, what do you do? And so they will take whatever they will give them and then leave their cocoa farms. So as we speak, about 40,000 hectares of cocoa farms are already gone. So Cocoa Board, as part of our measures, we are rehabilitating some of these farms. And then we recommend to management to come out with cocoa plantation. Cocoa Board should have its own cocoa plantation. Because if the farms belongs to Cocoa Board, it will be difficult for any miner to tamper with it. That is one. We are also, revise the compensation regime to have a very good rate as far as destruction of cocoa farm is concerned. As we speak, if you destroy any tree and cocoa board get to know, you are to pay not less than about $72, $73 per one tree. And you convert to Ghana cedis, 1 acre is about 440 trees. So then you pay about 500 per acre. And all these are, preventing, some farmers from destroying our cocoa farms. So there are a number of interventions Cocoa Board has put in place. But we are also handicapped, especially when it comes to security. Last year, we had an issue where we had to, battle with police personnel at somewhere in the Ashanti region. It came in the media, landscape, because they were also behind this illegal destruction of cocoa farms. That is where they were getting their few, So we are doing our best. If you ask Cocoa Board efforts or what we are doing as far as these illegal mining activities are concerned, we are not sleeping. We've also come out with measures, and we are pushing that government should help us to amend the Economic Plan Protection Act. The law was passed in 1979. It's been a long time. And so the punishment and then the compensation aspect is very low, even though we've started implementing the new rates. But we are appealing to government to also help us and speed up with the amendment process of the Act. Thank you very much.
Just one more from journalist.
I just wanted to add a little thing. If Cocoa Board has these interventions, then I think I'll be directing many farmers to you. Because we've been reporting these stories time and time and again. Years back, farmers who are losing their cocoa farms. When you type Enyinamso number 1 and 2 right now on YouTube, you see my report from that community where the farmers were appealing to government to come to their aid because their cocoa farms were being taken over. Nothing happened. Many of those farmers have lost their farms. Not even a peswa was paid to them. Akonta mining. Next week, I'll be filing a report of farmers whose farms, cocoa farms, at the time they were destroying them, they had very good yield. All of them were destroyed at Mempasem. Some of your people knew about it back then. Back and forth from 2022 till date. Akonta mining did not pay a peswa. Even today, they are still speaking to us to demand justice for them. Where is Cocoa Board in all that? You are aware of that issue. I can see you are nodding because you are aware of that. Since 2022, you've not been able to get justice for these farmers. Their cocoa farms have been taken over, destroyed. And nothing was given to them. Similarly, in Samreboy, many of the farmers there have lost cocoa farms. Some willingly, some forcibly. Bepotinting, Ashawan destroyed a number of cocoa farms. When the farmers took them to court, she will not even appear to answer to the charges. Cocoa Board needs to sit up. Excuse me, but Cocoa Board needs to sit up.
Thank you. Now, how do you summarize such a wonderful evening and discussions? But the main point is that Academy sunk its teeth in trying to address this, what esteemed fellow Mama coined ecological suicide. And that started us off on a journey. And it's been addressed by a number of fellows in their inaugurals, Professor Yahinkra, Professor Flapui, you have Professor Mama Intumensa, you have our own Professor Oteng Yeboah, you have Professor Grace Ufuri-Sapong, and Professor Danua. So we've been variously talking. So we really thank our speakers for recognizing the role that the Academy has been playing. And we're so grateful that they've come to acknowledge our role, and they're ready to help us continue the fight. So Galamsey clearly is ecological terrorism. I agree with them. And Galamsey is leadership, is also just a few take-home messages. Galamsey is leadership failure. And this community complicity. And the root cause is really leadership failure. And also judicial complicity. And those who are fighting are actually the ones who are actually the arsonists. And we have an environmental apocalypse. And after this forum, we'll have enough material to go on and say LI 2462 must be revoked in its entirety. So I agree that you can't stop mining, but do it responsibly. We have to provide geological data. Ban alluvial mining. I think that should be also under consideration. And the fact is that we should encourage presentation of this in Parliament. So that, and every one of us, I mean, when you look at the health impacts, none of us is skipping it. You know, we're taking water from our taps, but we're all contaminated, you know, we're all suffering. So we've got to get up from our, you know, whatever, and just get up and join the bandwagon that, you know, something has to be done. And so let us thank our speakers once more for a wonderful, wonderful take-home message. Thank you.
Right. A round of applause for our chairperson. And all too soon, we've come to the end of day one of this most interesting and inspiring forum on Galamsey Revisited. As said in the opening remarks, it's with much pleasure that we acknowledge the presence of our young colleagues. I think you have a higher stake in this than us of the older generation. So we are very happy to have Accra Academy and Labone Senior High School here. Right. We also have here a number of distinguished personalities who have graced this lecture with their presence. Dr. Michael Quakyi of Cocoa Board has been acknowledged already. Dr. Quakyi, you're most welcome. We also have Mr. George Mensa of the Food and Drugs Authority, Ernest Boame of the Ghana Chamber of Mines, Madame Mary Ababio of Access Bank, Dr. Augustine Asante of the Council for Scientific and Industrial Research. Thank you. So tomorrow will be the next in the series, and it will be on overhaul of national institutions, regulatory mining, the role of local institutions, including chiefs. I think the atmosphere, okay. So tomorrow is the cost of repair. Apologies for the correction. And the atmosphere as generated by today, I think we are all, we can all testify that this promises to be an inspiring session. This session today simply brings goosebumps to some of us, seeing the images that have been shown. As said, we also acknowledge the contributions and the sponsorship of the governor and executive of the Bank of Ghana, and also the managing director and the management of Access Bank. I'm informed to tell us all that there will be refreshments in the foyer outside, and of course, for our colleagues from school, since you need to go back, there will be packed refreshment for you so that you can set off and go back to school this evening. And we warmly invite you tomorrow also to be present. I think okay. Thank you very much. I think the program for today has ended, and I'll respectfully ask us to stand as the distinguished speakers leave the podium. Thank you.
And they were taking a good picture. The photographers were taking